You know, the last word you said before the show just started was the word old, which is very telling today because we got a boy, big boy on the show here. Happy birthday, Todd Father.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
What we got? Happy birthday, bud.
Yeah,
Thanks for
baby.
joining us, too.
No, I'm glad to be on the show, man. Turning 21. It's really, it's amazing, you know. I get to have my first
I thought
drink
you were
tonight.
22.
Oh, you're right. My bad. 22.
Last
22.
year. Yeah, last year was the drinking and all that.
Oh, the big dog. The big dogs. I love it.
If you're listening to the pod right now, Claudia whipped up a very nice photo with Todd Father, well-dressed, among how many? 8, 9, 10 big dogs? How many?
11.
3, 6, 11, yeah. You count the one behind him.
There's 2 behind him there. Yeah.
Oh, 12.
12.
Very nice. Whoever made that. Very nice.
There's a
Todd
weird
Father,
kid in the background, too. I don't know what the weird kid's doing. But.
No, that's my nephew. Leave him alone.
So Todd, you're 38, okay?
Yeah, man.
So there are still ball players that are your age in the bigs, but we're getting low. I mean, is Rich Hill still going?
I mean, he's trying to.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Doesn't have a job yet.
No. Nelson Cruz is gone, so you don't have him anymore. Waino's done. Obviously, Pujols has been done for a year because Cruz is 43.
Erik Kratz is out.
Joey Votto's still trying.
Oh, true. Votto's got age on you, right?
Yeah,
40.
yeah.
What about Turner?
yeah.
Justin Turner.
Justin Turner, I think, is a drop
Maybe.
older. 39.
Yeah, maybe 1 year.
Okay. So Todd Father, just in case, who was that one team that was it Murph? The Brewers?
Brewers.
Yeah.
Because they have too many catchers, but if you want to think about a corner infield spot.
I've been getting asked about a men's softball league, so I'm now I know I'm pretty much done. So
Well, happy birthday, dude. We're thrilled to
Thank
have
you,
you with
guys.
us for the day.
appreciate it. Glad to be on with you
Appreciate
guys,
joining
man.
us.
You guys make me all that much better. Appreciate it.
Good. Thank you. We're going to have a fun show, too. And yes, the Super Bowl is done. Erik Kratz put out the official tweet last night. My favorite part of the Super Bowl, the end. It means it is time for baseball to start. And I retweeted. And I agree.
Appreciate
I
the
didn't really
retweet.
care about the game. It was a good game, but I couldn't find myself caring much. Like, it was cool, but I'm sick of the Chiefs. Like, it's kind of good. You know what it taught me? We don't have dynasties really lately in baseball. I kind of like it. I like the variety.
Well, the Chiefs are getting there if they're not already one.
They're a dynasty.
Well, I will say this: the halftime show I liked
Halftime show was sick.
because they brought out all the old people. Luda, they brought out Luda.
Yeah! I love Luda.
I mean, it was great. That was like, all right,
How old do you think Luda is?
he's got to be pushing 45.
Anyone else?
7.
Luda?
6. 46.
46, yeah.
Right in between.
AJ, you know what this means? You know how like all the ads, you're like, oh, I remember that guy, I remember her. You know, the halftime. It just means they're trying to hit your age demographic because you're the one that spends the most money.
That's true.
Fine with me. I watched it. Our guest coming up, Larry, the cable guy, he had a great tweet.
About the Super Bowl?
It said, the world's getting crazy. I just got charged $9.99 by Apple for watching the Apple Music halftime show. It's kind of funny.
Everything.
But I thought, listen, it was a great game. It was kind of boring in the first half. None of my squares hit, which kind of pissed me off. Got all kinds of numbers. But yeah, it was a great game. I mean, good for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, and Andy Reid seems like a nice fella. But Kyle Shanahan, a guy who I know and I like, he just can't seem to get it done in the big game. But there's always next year.
Man, they played good too. They just had to put him away before because the game was close and they just never put him away. It was like they just let him hang around, and Patrick was like, "Oh, okay, I'll just go ahead and tie the game and then win it."
It was lovely. When you're watching, I love Patrick Mahomes. I don't know. My son's a big Chiefs fan. I've grown to love him. I just like what he does, man. He's a beast. He finds a way to win. I always thought the whole game, it's like, he's going to do something. We all thought he was going to do something, and at the end, found a way. 4th and inches, got the first down. Nice pass here. It was a magician, man. He did really well.
Thumbs up or down? Did you win money or lose money? I lost a little bit. You won? Nice.
I didn't bet. I mean, I lost money if you count the squares.
Yeah.
By the way,
Good.
Can we talk about the 49ers not knowing the overtime rules too? They all came out and said the players were like, we didn't know the rules.
I'm not surprised in baseball some players don't know every rule.
Yeah, but
Well,
that's
yeah,
kind of a big one.
changed it, yeah.
That's kind of a big one.
They
Kind of
thought
a
that if
clock
they
management
score,
thing.
it's over. Was that it?
Well, that's how the old we used to work.
That was like years ago.
But they didn't know that you just basically played like a regular game, like because that's why people were blasting Shanahan for taking the ball, which makes sense though because if he takes the ball and they score, or if he gives the Chiefs the ball and say they score a touchdown and then the 49ers go down and score a touchdown, well then if the Chiefs gets the ball, it's sudden death. So it's Patrick Mahomes, the way he was going to score, so it was over. So the way Shanahan actually did it I thought was smart because he took the ball, scored, and then they was hoping they'd hold them to a field goal, and then they'd get the ball at the chance to win it. But unfortunately, they could. By the way, why were they playing like prevent defense the whole time on that last drive?
I don't know.
Yeah, that was
bad.
different. Yeah,
That was the big problem that I noticed. I agree.
Yeah.
Not aggressive. Let's charge the mound for the baseball spin to the big game. Julio Rodriguez was there. Some people were like, he should have been sitting closer.
Yeah, for $12,000 a ticket.
Is that how much it is
They're
to
crazy.
sit close?
They're crazy expensive.
I heard the suites are 7 figures.
1.8 million for a suite.
Wow. So there's Julio at the game. That's fine. I'm
Those
good with
are
that.
fine. What's wrong with that?
Yeah. I didn't say anything. The commenters, they're like, oh, don't you have a big contract? Like, he's fine.
Actually, it looks like he's in the second deck, which usually means there's a club attached to it. So
Yep.
it actually better seats than lower. Because the problem with football too is the lower you get, the harder it is to actually see what's going on. Like if you're if you guys ever been on a field for a real football game, you can't see shit.
No.
Because you're behind the players, you're behind the bench, you're behind. So it's like you can't. But like kind of where he's at is good because you can see the guys get open and the way the plays work. It's kind of good seats. If he was a little bit more to the middle, maybe, but the height is fine.
And he had said, I want to know what that feels like. Hashtag starving. Wants to win, obviously. My question is, like, you guys have all been at least around broadcast booths or behind the plate versus when you're sitting in the dugout. Isn't it a much better view behind the plate when you're looking at pitches?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm always looking. I'm like, damn, the managers, like, you miss a little when you're looking from there on the side, no, in baseball?
Yeah.
You
When
miss
you
a
watch
little
now
bit.
from the booth, that's
the
the
booth
best
is-
spot to see pitches.
Depends on which booth you're in, but that's a whole different.
True, yeah. Washington, D.C. blows. We'll call them out.
Pittsburgh's high.
I like the Nats for other things, but their broadcast booth is trash. Tommy Pham left the Super Bowl mid-game.
What a flex.
I love that.
I do too.
What a flex.
awesome.
Good. I mean,
I wonder how far he lives from there. Got to be
Probably-
close.
Yeah, I mean, he's in Vegas for sure.
Yeah,
so.
he definitely lives in Vegas. Probably 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes.
He had plenty of time to get home. After this halftime show took forever.
you stay for the halftime show. That's the only reason you go to the game. Pay a $4,000 concert.
Shit.
All right, that's it for Super Bowl because I want to spend a few minutes
By the way-
before we bring in our guest.
Sorry,
with
one more
transactions.
thing about the Super Bowl before
Yes.
we leave. Did you guys see like the people that fell? Like there was a girl on one of the. She was dancing on one of the poles and she freaking crashed, bang, powed
No,
behind
Wow.
Ludacris when he was coming out. He was like walking. There was a girl on a pole.
it did
And
not.
there was another guy that like went flying in the air that everybody was talking about.
I saw that one.
You saw that one where the guy like went flying in the air like randomly. And
Yeah.
by the way, how did nobody fall on the roller skates? It's kind of awesome.
There
was
was such a great Peter Griffin roller skating.
yeah.
You saw that?
Oh yeah.
It
feel
was like nobody. Usher roller
I feel like Usher looks like he's on roller skates anyway. He's just such a smooth dancer. Like there's some things in life that I know I can't do. That's one of them. Like I'll never look like that.
Yo, he was sweating bullets too. Last thing
He
I'll
was
say.
sweating like a dude on Adderall pregame.
Dude, I had to look on the weather too. I'm like, it was like 49, 50 degrees. I'm like, damn, that's a little chilly for Vegas. Whatever. He was
They're
moving.
inside. They're inside. So
Oh, there you go.
Still, he
That's
was
where I'm
sweating.
at.
it was. Yeah, I'm sure it was probably warm in there. But
He's
Yeah,
also
you're right, you're
really-
when
right.
he's doing all the freaking,
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
that's
doing a
on me.
lot.
That's a blooper reel.
it still
for me.
got hot.
Thank
I
you.
guarantee it. And by the way, best commercial, the Dunkin' Donuts commercial where they had
Sure.
Ben Affleck, and I mean that was like the funniest. Hey Tom, you can stay. By the way, that was so good.
That was a good one.
All right,
Mark
let's get to
Wahlberg
some
was
transactions.
Hilarious. Go ahead, Scott.
Oh,
talk
that
baseballing.
commercial. Okay. We did a good 10 just now. I'm proud of us. But our first guest is a few minutes from joining us, David Samson, former Marlins exec. So let's actually start there. The Marlins swung another trade with the Minnesota Twins, and Nick Gordon is going from Minnesota to Miami, and Gordon missed most of this past season. He had the broken leg, so 34 games last year, but he had a pretty solid 2022. 28 years old, former top-end pick. I think he was number 5 overall to the Twins back in the day. And on the other side, nice little bullpen depth piece for Minnesota in Steve Okert, who goes the other way, and he's coming off a bad season, but he's had good ones in the past. So for me, it's like, oh, cool, the Marlins are awake. I just didn't even know if they were alive. I didn't know they existed still. Thought maybe they got sent down to the minor leagues, but they made a move. They got a position player, and they need offense for real. In all seriousness, they need more offense, correct?
Yeah, but they still haven't signed a major league player.
Correct.
This entire offense, not one. We got to ask David Samson why the Marlins never signed anybody. But
don't take my question.
Anything though? You like Nick Gordon? I mean,
he's a good player. He's an Orlando guy, so he's a good player. He's a good player.
Solid player. Okert, I remember when he first came up, I mean, hey, he might get his pitch back. He might get his speedball back, because when he first came up with the Giants, oh my gosh. He was 97, 99 out of the bullpen, slinging it. And it was, I was like, whoa, who is this guy? Just another giant that comes through, the system it was kind of at the end of their run, but it was like, oh, another guy that's just going to come up and throw cheese and be another piece for Bochy. But I think he might have battled a couple injuries, but who knows? The Twins might make him throw 100 again.
Who thought that they were making another trade, that Desclafani was going to go to another team? I felt like that guy's been traded 2-3 times already. I thought that would have been funny, but I feel like you can't go wrong with the guy like Okert. He's one of those pitchers that you don't know what to expect, but if it does come out and all of a sudden goes back to that form again, you just got lightning in a bottle. So I think that's a really good pickup. I don't know much about Nick Gordon, but I know when you get a right-handed or a pitcher that comes in and that could throw strikes and limit the walks, I think you're going to have a good guy right there. He might get hit, but still, hopefully over time he finds a way to get more batters out.
Yeah, and the Twins are trying to build a super bullpen. They've got a really good pen. So another depth piece.
Okert's a good pitcher.
Yeah,
he's a good.
He's not going to be a top 4 or 5. He might emerge for them.
He's a 5th, 6th bulk inning guy, maybe.
Yeah.
Good lefty coming out of the pen. Just more options. You know what he does? He gives Thielbar. He'll give Thielbar a break.
Yep.
He'll give some. I forget the other lefty's name in the Minnesota pen. They have one more, but it'll give Thielbar a break, who they use a lot because he was kind of their main lefty. But I think this is a good. Listen, the Marlins need offense. Nick Gordon can swing it a little bit. He can run a little bit, so I think it's a good trade for both teams, and not a major move, but something that'll definitely help both teams.
2022, Nick Gordon had a 111 OPS plus. He was 272, 316 on base, 427 slug. Not bad, And
now they had both Gordons.
Oh well, they had D back in the day. You're saying,
right?
Yes, yeah. D was a star for them for a little bit of time.
He hit that one home run for Jose Fernandez, which was.
That was awesome.
And then he got popped.
He did get popped for roids. Good dude.
He's a great guy. I love him.
Yeah. I think actually that was the David Samson era. So it's actually perfect timing for us. Let's bring in our first guest of the day, David Samson. You can follow him at David P. Samson. He hosts a lot. Nothing Personal with David Samson. You can see him on CBS Sports HQ, Levitard Show. He's all over the place. Real talk on what's going on from a front office perspective and, of course, in the game. David, great to have you on here for the first time and following your show for a while. And was I accurate there? You guys signed D. Gordon, right?
We certainly did, about 17 minutes before he got popped.
Did you guys know? You didn't know shit, right? What happened? You just get a call and it's the league?
Yeah, I will never forget exactly what happened. I was in Los Angeles. We were playing the Dodgers, and I was in the team hotel. We were heading out to lunch before going to Chavez Ravine. Got a call from Major League Baseball that one of our players is being suspended for steroids. And of course, I had a few thoughts of who it could be. And Dan Hallam, the now deputy commissioner, said, David, you're going to want to sit down. I said, I'm fine. Who is it? And he said, D. Gordon. And I said, absolutely not. There is no chance. Test it again. Start those machines up again. Do something because it ain't him. And Hallam said, no, it's him. I promise you. he is taking the suspension. And I was livid. Went right to the ballpark immediately. And that's the year we had Barry Bonds as one of our coaches, by the way. And I sat with D, and I love D. Absolutely love him. I still love him. But I was so angry and disappointed. And he did not admit it. He basically said, I have no idea how this could happen. And I called baseball and I said, you got to redo something. This isn't possible. And I was told that the only way that this specific thing gets in your body is like in a needle in your ass. It's not one of those things like Cano. Oh, I had a bad tummy ache. It's nothing like that. And I was very disappointed. Of course, that was the beginning of what ended up being that tragic season when just a few months later when Jose died in the boating accident and the whole season just ended. And that was tough for us. It was tough losing D. He was top of our lineup. He was getting on base all the time. Remember, he had that season with several hundred hits, 220 hits. He was on base and he doesn't walk a lot. Great in the clubhouse, just great everywhere. And that was a very tough moment in my 18-year career. I'll tell you that.
Wow. Yeah, that was the Jose Fernandez thing, the D Gordon thing. I mean, that was all rough. Do you still pay attention to what the Marlins are doing? Do you still watch some of the transactions they've done, even though I know you guys sold them to the ownership group now? But and why won't they sign any free agents? They haven't signed one free agent the entire offseason.
Well, hey, good to see you, by the way, Jay. I would say that they lose a lot of money. And they overpaid for the team, so they've got tremendous debt service, and it's just hard to make it work. And I thought that a good team in the new ballpark would lead to great attendance, and it just has not happened. And whether it was under my watch or under Derek Jeter's watch or whoever has been watching, starting all the way back with Wayne Huizinga through John Henry and Jeffrey Lurie and myself, there's always been a problem. But Major League Baseball does not want to give up on Florida, either Tampa or Miami. And the thought, as you all remember, as a matter of fact, let me go back even earlier. Tampa was the stalking horse for everybody. The White Sox were going to move to Tampa. The San Francisco Giants were going to move to Tampa. Everybody used Tampa to get their own ballpark in their own city. And Bud Selig really wanted to expand into Florida. He felt as though it was the right move for baseball. And both teams have struggled from a revenue standpoint. Of course, the Rays have been phenomenal from a on-field standpoint. And the Marlins have 2 rings. So it is an interesting situation, but one that does not seem to be improving at all.
Are you mad at what they did to the stadium you guys built? They got rid of the fluorescent green walls. And the worst part for me is they took out the statue. They took out the statue that when they hit a home run would go, where?
Let me tell you exactly what happened there. Derek Jeter, when he got the team, I was negotiating with him. And it wasn't really his money, so he didn't care about overpaying. So he was the perfect person to negotiate with. And I get credit for negotiating such a great deal where they spent $1.2 billion and the Orioles just went for 1.7 and the Royals and Guardians went for 1.0. But Jeter would have paid $4.2 billion because it wasn't his money. And his plan was, hey, whatever Samson did, I'm doing the opposite. He went full Costanza. And the problem with that is if you're wrong, then you look like a jackass. And that's exactly what happened with Derek. And that's why eventually Bruce Sherman fired him, because Jeter made all those promises, none of which came true. And one of the things Jeter did was spend millions of dollars to move the home run sculpture, which he shouldn't have been allowed to do because it was a piece of public art. He changed the entire aesthetic of the ballpark in an effort to distance themselves from me. They took down any picture, any memory of Jose or anybody associated with our group. They fired Conine and Dawson and Perez. They only recently brought back Conine after Jeter got fired. So it was a very weird situation. So if you're asking me if I follow them the way I follow the other 29 teams, because I have a baseball show and a sports business show, so I like to keep up to date. But in terms of Schadenfreude, I had that the first couple of years. Like, I really hope they lose 150 games. But now I really don't think about them at all.
Are they really struggling? We talk about this all the time, and it's kind of a transition to the A's and what's going on there. Are they really struggling in the sense of the Marlins might need to get sold soon?
Well, I'll tell you that if Bruce Sherman could get 1.2 billion plus his losses, he and his partners would sell tomorrow. But I ran the team, the Marlins, for 16 years. And the only years that we had positive cash flow were years that we had the payroll down to levels that were just ridiculously low, like in 06, when we traded everybody away after trying to repeat as 03 champions, and when we signed Delgado and then traded him, et cetera. And the reason why the team loses money is that there's really no corporate base to speak of. Even Loan Depot, that deal for naming rights is part of a big league deal. You know, the ALCS and NLCS, it's not a coincidence that the national deal was announced right when the naming rights deal was announced. And baseball wants to help the Marlins, like the Caribbean Series, giving them the Spanish broadcast rights to that series that just ended. It's good for baseball to have Miami as a healthy producing team, but there's just not a big corporate base. There's not a big season ticket base. And the reason is that the population in Florida, which you would think is amazing, the rich ones all leave during the summer. They live there 6 months in one day. So that's why it's easier for them to support the Heat and the Dolphins, the winter sports, harder to be there during the summer when they're in different places. Because as you know, who wants to be in Miami during the summer when it's 1,000 degrees? So there's a lot of factors that work against both Tampa and Florida, but MLB is not giving up anytime soon.
Let me ask you this, talking about losing money, like how many teams lose money like this? Does this happen all the time, or is this just, a few that come and go?
So do you remember something called, it started when you were actually part of mentioning the debt service rule, Todd. Funny story here. The debt service rule is a rule that says that a team can only have a certain amount of debt as a multiple of EBITDA, which is earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. It's a fancy way of saying if you're losing money, then you cannot borrow money to just give to players. And what Bud Selig did without the union realizing is did this debt service rule as a way to keep salaries down. And the reason he knew it made sense is so many teams had negative EBITDA, which means they were only allowed a limited amount of debt. And the reason why teams take on debt, and Jeffrey Loria took on debt when he owned the team, when he wanted to sign extra players, he did that because I said to him, write a $20 million check this year because the value of your team is going up by more than $20 million. I promise you, you're going to get asset appreciation. And that works great until you lose access to the capital markets. It's like maxing out your credit card. You may want to fix up your house because your house will be worth more, but you can't get the money to get a new fridge or to redo the landscape, whatever. And eventually that's what happens to teams is they just can't borrow any more money. And so with the Marlins, like many teams, they have a lot of debt on them. I would say at least 20 teams lose money on an annual basis, but they fund it through other means, like ballpark village revenue. It's called non-baseball revenue. That's why all these owners want to buy all this real estate and do all these villages, because that money doesn't get shared through revenue sharing. And so they get to use that money to help offset the losses that the team has as a standalone entity.
Okay, so why don't owners, one, speak out against each other? Meaning, like, hey,
great question.
This guy's losing this, and this guy, why? And then Oakland, why aren't the owners speaking out against the Oakland A's situation and what they're doing? Because this is also a clusterfuck.
It's the worst. So here's the situation with owners. They don't want to ever show weakness to the players' union. And they don't want to show any division because division equals weakness when it comes to collective bargaining. And what we try to do is create divisions within the players. So we'll want the pitchers to be upset with the position players. We'll want the bench players to be upset with the starters, because anything that causes any friction gives you an advantage when you are negotiating. And so baseball has been really good about that since 1994. And some of you may remember, I was not in the game then, but I do know what happened. There was infighting amongst the owners. There were blocks of owners fighting against each other, and it really screwed them all. So since then, Bud Selig and now Rob Manfred have been really good about keeping all internal stuff internal. And the A's are the latest example. Of course, the owners are annoyed that the A's don't have their deal done because the owners want to expand, because they need that expansion revenue to help offset the losses from COVID and to just give them an extra pot of money, ironically, a lot of which will go to players. Can I tell you one more funny story? Do we have time?
Yeah, we got plenty.
Very quick. When we got a bulk of money from ML BAM started in my first owners meeting, and then ML BAM was sold. Bob Bowman was able to get a lot of money. And so each team got like $30 million. And I remember in owners meetings, not ever out in the main public owners meeting, but like at the dinner or in little sidebars, don't waste all that money on players. Would it kill you to pocket some of that money? Like any business would do. When you sell an asset, if you spend that on operations, then the asset's gone. And then after a year of operations is gone. That's why you have to be very careful when you cash in an asset in order to fund your lifestyle. Eventually you run out of assets to cash in, and then you have to change your lifestyle. And so the reason why the owners are upset about the A's is that it's taken them even longer than it took me. It's taken them forever. And the Vegas deal is by no way a sure thing. And I've been alone on a survivor island about this because I still don't think the A's are going to get a deal done in Vegas. And the fact that the owners approved the relocation, it means as much as the four of us voting to approve the A's relocation. It's not relevant. It was done as a procedural matter, but when they voted to approve it, they had no real information in front of them because there is no real information available to them.
So what's the next step? You've been in there, you've been in, and what are we, because we don't see it as a feasible option, let alone the fact that if they actually somehow get there, it's the smallest market there is. And so the other teams who voted this in are going, oh, great, another sucker of our revenue sharing.
So I want to talk about that argument. There's always going to be revenue sharing payors and payees. So when you hear players or executives or people in the media complain about, well, the Marlins take all this revenue sharing, or the Rays or the A's, somebody's taking it. It's just a matter of who's getting what and how it's distributed. But the fact that the A's do not have a lot of revenue, that really doesn't have the impact on the overall revenue sharing pool that you may think. It's not like the Yankees say, my God, George Steinbrenner used to say this all the time, damn it, David, you're taking my money to beat me in the World Series. I'm like, George, if you weren't giving it to me, you'd be giving it to somebody else. It's not like you'd get to pocket it and sign another player, because that's sort of how revenue sharing works. So it's going to be very interesting what happens next. But mark my words, something has to happen, because we're getting up to a point where not only do the A's not know where they're going to play in 25, 26, 27, but the dream of them being in a new stadium in Vegas in 28 is tenuous at best, and they've got to be in a new stadium somewhere in 28, and you generally need 3 years, start to finish, retractable roof, 35-month schedule. But that means you have to start the construction drawings. You have to get all your financing documents done. So they can start construction as late as March or April of 25. But there's a lot of work that has to happen before you put a shovel in the ground, literally.
I want to switch gears here just a little bit and talk about Jose Reyes. He came out a while ago saying about the whole situation, about how he was promised to play in Miami for the rest of his life. And I see you shaking your head already. So I got to play Jose. I love him to death. He's a great dude. But if you can explain the whole situation or what happened, that would be great. So some of the fans here were asking about what happened, and was that true, how it went down?
Yeah, so I want to tell you exactly what happened, because it was all my fault. We were heading into a new ballpark in 2012, and we had prepared a budget of what our payroll was going to be in 2012. And we knew that we wanted a payroll, let's say, of 95 to 100. And when Mark Burley became available, Heath Bell, which I can't even talk about him, Jose Reyes, we met Jose Reyes at 12:01 a.m., the first moment you can meet with free agents. Now, don't get me wrong, there was total tampering before then, as you know exists, but we had an official meeting at 12:01 a.m. Our owner walks into the meeting wearing a Marlins Reyes jersey under his overcoat. Reyes' agents were very clear. He loves Miami. Here's what it's going to take. $1 more than he's offered by anybody else. And he's going to want to get as close to 100 as possible on a guarantee. Mark Burley's agent. He'd love to be a Marlin, but you're going to have to guarantee the 4th year. Heath Bell. I don't even need to meet you guys. Guarantee me 3 years, and I'm a Marlin without even visiting your stadium. And all we did was say yes, 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 because we thought we were building a juggernaut of a team. And if we could win in 2012, that would give momentum to our team from a gate standpoint. And it would just be great for everyone. And then we sucked. And it was a nightmare. If you remember that season, Heath Bell blew a bunch of saves. The team just couldn't win. Ozzie Guillen got suspended. We were on the franchise that year. There were cameras everywhere. It was just a nightmare. And what I thought after that season, and I started thinking this way in July really, is that I don't want to rip off the Band-Aid one hair at a time. We have to reset. And to do it, we've got to do it all. And we struck a deal with Toronto to trade Reyes and Burley and Buck and Josh Johnson. And the reason that deal got held up, and this is now 12 years ago, but people don't realize this, Bud Selig wanted to not approve the deal, not because it was a bad deal for the Marlins, because it was a bad deal for Toronto. So he had to meet with the Rogers guys to confirm that they were of sound mind and body to do that deal. What Bud didn't realize is that back in those days, it was the now GM of the Braves, Alex Anthopoulos. They had made a public announcement. They had leaked to the press of the deal. Everyone was all excited. And then Josh Johnson failed his physical. And then Henderson Alvarez failed his physical. He was coming to us. But they were so pregnant that they decided to go ahead and do the deal anyway because we said, you want to unwind it? Unwind it. Don't take Josh, but then you don't get any of these players. And they said, no, we'll go ahead and do this deal. And it ended up being a really good baseball deal for us, but the PR was brutal, and it was just terrible. And Mark Burley, we were so close. He hasn't spoken to me since. And I'm sad about that because he didn't think that he was going to be traded. And Jose Reyes and I spoke at the WBC a few years later. And I said, whatever Jeffrey promised you about being in Miami forever, you and I had honest talks that whole season about our team and about what we were doing. I didn't know we were going to send you to Toronto, but I just knew that when you didn't get a no trade clause that you wanted, you have to know that there was a possibility you were going to get traded. But he and I have made amends. I love Jose. He was absolutely a joy to have around. It was just, for all of us off and on the field, it was a terrible, terrible time.
Okay, so I played for Ozzie Guillen. What was it like being his boss for a few months? Because you guys got him after we were kind of, Chicago. He left Chicago, and he, whatever. You guys basically had him done before the 2011 season was over. I mean, whether
we tampered with him, we had a deal done.
Whether he'll never admit that. He'll never admit that he was going anywhere. Although we all knew as players he wasn't coming back.
Yeah, right? we had the deal done. The White Sox were done with him. And we were warned. And the funny part is, when the first time I met Ozzie, and remember, he had been our coach for the World Series in 2003. So I have known him forever. But the first time I met him, when I knew he was going to be the manager, he looked at me, we were at a table, and he said, David, you're giving me 4 years? I said, dude, our owner, Jeffrey, is making us give you 4 years. He said, I wouldn't give me 4 years. I said, trust me, I don't want to give you 4 years. I didn't think we'd fire him after 2 months. But with what happened with Castro, there's nothing we can do. But if you ask Ozzie about that time and he were given a truth serum, he would tell you that he was pretty checked out. He took the money, he took the long deal, and he was tired. And it really impacted us, and he knows that. And he and I have spoken about that. He and his kids and I have spoken about that. But you're right. He was gone from the White Sox well before the end of the 11 season, and we had a deal in place well before the end of the 11 season.
Nobody on this show, we've done a lot of things on this show, the players, nobody has negotiated a mega contract. So I've always wondered, when you went into the room, the calls, how did the whole Stanton contract go? Because my mind goes, at that time, $325 million. I sit there and I go, did Stanton start at 425 and the Marlins start at 225? And oh, look at that. We met in the middle. How did that go?
So we flew out to California at the Beverly Hills Hilton, and he came with his agent, Joel Wolf. You have to remember back then that he had been hit in the face by the pitch and had not played since. And we were negotiating a contract with him. Back then, the Marlins were known for trading all their players. We were trying to recover from the 2012 trade. We wanted a player to retire a Marlin and go into the Hall of Fame as a Marlin. And we had known Stanton. He was our second round pick. Everybody passed on him. People don't remember he was going to play football. He threatened to play football, but we knew he was not playing football. We knew he wanted to play baseball. So we waited till the second round and got him. And he was just this behemoth. And we knew he was clean because even though his parents are not all that huge, I know and knew Giancarlo. I mean, he was Mike when this all first started. That's a whole nother funny story. When he walked in spring training one day, he said, "Call me Giancarlo." Okay, happy to do it. Make sure you call the licensing people. And so we go into the room at the Beverly Hills Hilton and we're talking. He's asking us questions about the team. Are you trading players? Are you signing players? If you sign me, are you going to have room to build around me? All this other stuff. And we're going back and forth. And finally, I just said, "Gee, come here." We left the room. He and I, 5 minutes, literally 5 minutes. "Giancarlo, I know you don't want to be here. I know you're frustrated with us. I know you're frustrated with losing. But I also know that you're coming off an HBP. I know you're going to be back, and you know you're going to be back. But are you sure? What's the number?" And I looked at him, and I said, "Here's a record. Never been done. How about $325 million over 13 years? How can you say no to that? I don't know if I can offer it, but if so, how can you say no?" What he didn't know at the time is Jeffrey and I had spoken about it, and Jeffrey said, "You're authorized. Give him an offer that he has to say yes to." And we came to 325.13. G looked at me and said, "Oh God, don't offer me that. Do not offer me that because I'm going to have to take it. David, don't do it." I said, "G, we don't want you to go. We're offering it to you." And he took it.
Wow. That's really cool. I like that a lot. I got two more quick ones for you, David, because this is really fun. It's been awesome to have you on. This is how we talk. So you're definitely part of the FT fam, the way we get these stories.
Happy to be here.
I appreciate it. This is really good. So I have a question for you on just the overall state of owners' involvement and front office involvement with, say, GMs versus presidents versus owners. Like, I always think about Angels fans because I think despite the team actually investing in their players over quite a few years, it's not like they're a, quote, cheap team. I think Artie Moreno, I've been told by people I know around that team for years, just will suddenly wake up and decide to totally fuck the organization over. So I'm curious about your take on how that all looks.
He doesn't think, hold on. It's called owner's prerogative. And he doesn't go into that saying, "Oh, I'm going to do this and it's a bad decision." He actually believes that what he's doing is good. So that's a small difference. He's not tanking the Angels.
No, I'm not saying that at all. My point is, someone like him versus hopefully the smart people that work around you. And when you say, "Oh, I didn't get this player, but I'm just going to call this other agent and get this player instead," despite what my front office thinks or not, he might be right sometimes. But the chances of someone like that being right versus a bunch of smart people that you hire and all working together are pretty low. So when you have someone like that versus, I'll just bring an example up. I don't think the Dodgers are all over Andrew Friedman, breathing over his neck every 5 seconds. They trust that he'll do a good job on most transactions. That's the kind of difference that you'll look at in LA. Do you agree?
Did I lose you?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Still here.
You're here. Okay.
We got
Let me tell you, there's 30 Major League Baseball control people. They all meddle. Every one of them does. And that's just the truth. Some meddle more than others. My prime example of a great owner like a Stuart Sternberg. But to think that he's not involved, that's like people saying Jim Crane didn't know about the garbage cans or that Steve Cohen didn't know about the injury reports. On today's Nothing Personal, I did an entire segment on the Billy Epler situation. It's a joke that MLB found that nobody knew except Billy Epler. What, like a single bullet theory? It's absurd. I knew every injury with our team as the team president. I was in the training room. I was aware. I got a report every day. of who walks into the training room, what they're saying, what the injury is, what the treatment is. I would speak to the team doctor every day because, as you know, paying players not to play, very bad. So injuries are the worst thing that you can have as a team president or owner. So I don't buy any of these owners telling you that they don't know stuff, because they do. It's almost criminal to me if they don't. But in terms of outright owner's prerogative, all owners do it. Some just do it less often than others. One of them that I can mention, the Chicago Cubs. Do you remember when Edwin Jackson got signed to that deal in the middle of the Cubs rebuild?
Yep.
He got like 5 years, 55 or something. Maybe it was 44, whatever it was. It was absurd. But Ricketts couldn't take the negative press around the rebuild, and he had to sign someone to make the fans think, hey, look, we're trying. So owners do things all the time. Some just are better at it than others, is what I would say.
Yep.
Wow.
Okay. That's fair. That's a good way to put it.
And then Edwin Jackson got traded like 17 times in the next 4 years.
Great
Whatever,
guy.
it worked out.
Great
Great
guy.
guy.
Awesome guy. Awesome guy.
We're out of time, but you'll have to see at some point, because we went in depth on this on Friday when that news broke. And I mean, AJ's been on it. Kratz, were you on it, the Phantom IL, before?
What? That was like half my career.
He's been on it. Todd Father.
We did it all the
you've been on
time.
it? No.
We
Todd
did
Father's
it all the time. Everybody uses the Phantom IL, and you don't do it behind the player's back. The player knows.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we laughed about.
You joked. Imagine you show up, you look to see where you are in the lineup, and they put you at the bottom. We Phantom IL'd you. Like, they don't find out when you show up.
I mean, the
and they
trainer
tell you.
knows, the manager knows. They're all sitting, and you have to sign something that says
Correct.
you're hurt. So the players know, the trainer knows, the managers knows, the coaches know, the front office people all know. It's not like it's like, man, oh, by the way, we're not telling you you're on the. Why aren't I playing it? You're on the. Wait, what? I mean, yeah. It's a whole meeting they have with you. Hey, are you okay with this?
AJ was trying to negotiate anal fissures for his Phantom IL, his last one, I think, with the Braves. and
We
he
wanted
got
to
denied.
use that. We actually wanted to use it because it's one of those things like with back pain or a little shoulder fatigue. You can't prove anal fissures don't exist.
See, that's exactly right. Exactly.
Perfect.
So they went with hamstring for me, and I've never pulled a muscle in my life.
Right.
Hamstring in my life.
Right.
Can't
I
pull
was
fat.
like, damn it. That's right.
What, Kratz?
Can't pull fat.
Can't pull fat. No. Well, David, this was great. Really appreciate it. Let's do it again sometime. At David P. Samson, if you ever want some of these guys on too. Love listening to your show, Nothing Personal, and
Thank
CBS
you.
Sports HQ and Levitard as well. But thanks for joining us, man. Great to talk to you.
Hey, it's good to see all you guys again. Take care of yourselves.
Thank you.
Thanks, David.
David Samson with us on FT Live. Great combo. That's good stuff.
2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
We need to get him back on because I could have talked to him for at least another hour about
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff because he was giving we were tampering and we were doing I'm like, whoa.
Well, this is stuff that we talk about from the player perspective, and we're trying to mix in obviously more of that front office perspective because that actually puts the two pieces together, right? I mean, if you take what we always talk about and then get someone like that, Todd Father, who was on the other side, whether it was something where you're all in cahoots like Phantom IL or a signing, and how he pulled off a Giancarlo Stanton signing, that's cool.
Everybody's always looking for an edge. Everybody's looking always to get away with something. So, I mean, there's always, even when talking to people, there's always something behind something. And that's what I've learned again today from listening to him. There's a reason, he even said it. What happens if we give you 11 years, 325, knowing that they already made the decision? So there's a motive behind everything that these guys do, good, bad, or indifferent. Sometimes they get away with it. Sometimes they don't. And that's crazy part about life and in baseball sometimes.
I love getting the stories afterwards, too. So before we get to Larry the Cable Guy, the most eclectic guest list I think we've ever had here on FT, let's just finish our combo on the Marlins with a little Bet MGM action on what this team looks like at the moment, because we've definitely given them shit this offseason. As David Samson said, I mean, it's not a team that makes money. Heading into last year, they were plus 10,000. They made the playoffs. They were plus 5,000 at the midseason mark, plus 5,000 heading into the postseason. Yeah, it was just not a team that you look at and say, this team's going to win a World Series. There was some pitching there. They lost guys towards the end of the year like Alcantara. And then heading into this season, they are plus 6,600 for the World Series odds. I think they'll have a little more pop. I mean, you get a full year of Berger and the move for Bell. I give them a lot of credit. The trade deadline.
They lost Soler, though.
You're right. That's true. So maybe about equal. But the trade deadline actually was a win for them in my mind. They did some things last year. They just haven't done anything since. So thoughts on the Marlins?
Literally
I think it's a
anything.
fourth place
Zero
team.
free agents.
I got a fourth place team here. Maybe third. That's the ceiling. I cannot see them being better off than the Braves and Phillies.
Do we need to stay ahead of them with Skip Schumacher, the manager? Do we need to stay ahead of him like he could be the next Craig Counsell in the sense of like, does he have that in him without Alcantara? I think a Yuri Perez for an entire season or whatever they deem is legitimate amount of innings for him. Like, do we as baseball people not miss this boat because of what Skip can bring to a team? Just a different environment that he brings.
Yeah, like they'll play above their expectations.
Right.
Sure. I think that's okay. But
No.
no matter what, though, Todd, you still need to deal with what you've got on the field. And
But they did that last year.
Well, like AJ said, first off, you lost Soler. Second of all,
You lost Alcantara.
you lost Alcantara. I mean, that was your biggest power bat and your best pitcher. You know, and I know Alcantara didn't have a good year either.
He didn't
Yeah,
have a
but he
good
still
year.
went out there and went 7 innings every
Every
He'd go out and give
freaking
up
time.
7, and he'd still give you 7 innings.
Mhm.
He'd be like, I'm going to figure this out, and he'd keep pitching. So, yeah, even though, he didn't have a great year, it was still a matter of, like, he went out there and saved bullpens. I mean, they have Luzardo, right? Still.
Dude, they were 33-14 in one-run games.
Yeah, that's not happening
That
again.
is crazy.
That's not happening again.
The
If
year
that goes
before,
back-
they were 24-40, 28th.
If it goes back to 500, they're not making the playoffs by a long margin.
No.
But does Skip help with that, or is that
Yeah,
personnel?
That's
'Cause
luck.
We're just
though.
looking
That's,
at personnel.
That's luck, though, and it comes back to the mean every year. There's
The
teams.
one run?
The one run always comes back to the mean.
Yeah, I think that it's a
Yeah.
little bit of bullpen and a little bit of management. But at the same time, there's no chance you're getting back-to-back 33-14 seasons in one-run games. Agree?
I mean, yeah, I would bet the under for sure. But if you're saying it's a little bullpen management, it's because you can't go to your horses every single day that it's a one-run game. So that manager, that pitching coach, creates an environment where you gotta put in the guy you just called up from AAA in the 10th inning because you just don't have your horses to go to keep them healthy for the next one-run game that you have. So to me, there's something there, and I can't discount what they did last year with the roster that they didn't have, and that's where I'm not 100% sold on them not making the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think what your point, you bring up environment, you bring up the way that they can play and be good. They always have a chance. You know, it's just you lose some pieces here and there, but you do bring up a good point. When you got a manager like in Skip Schumacher, which we all love and know what he brings to the table. Yeah, you could say what you want. You get these guys fired up, making sure they're on the right page and going out there, but you still got to play as well. So do they have the pieces right now? I'm not 100% sold, though. That's the only thing I'm there with losing a guy like Soler. But yeah, you bring up some names that, can be a delight for him and go out there and do some things, but it comes down to everybody working together.
And at least one of the easiest ones to predict for me this year. It's Braves, Phillies. I'm going Mets, Marlins, Nats. And you can convince me very easily on flipping the Mets and the Marlins. That's it. I'm putting some good money down on the NL East. Anyway, you can place your first.
Kratzy's not happy.
Good. I like it. Maybe me and him will make a few friendly wagers heading into the season as well. A little side bet action, maybe some dinners. Place your first Bet MGM Sportsbook wager through the app of at least $5. You'll receive $150 instantly in additional winnings, regardless of your wager's outcome. When you download the app, sign up and deposit at least $5 into that account, and then place a wager in the amount of at least $5 at standard odds price. Once you make that bet, you'll receive $150 in bonus bets, regardless of the outcome of your wager. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLING. All right. Ready for the next one?
Yeah.
This is quite a Monday Super Bowl hangover day.
Now we get to hang out with AJ's friend.
Yeah, I like this. I like more. I want more of this. I like the celebrity infusion to FT Live. Would you like to help me intro our guest?
Yeah, coming up now, live from bumfuck Nebraska, I think he's in. Larry the Cable Guy, a.k.a. Dan Whitney, who we're going to call Dan because he doesn't like being called Lawrence. And, of course, he's rocking his Nebraska hat. And he's got all the professional microphone stuff. So Dan
Absolutely.
/ Lawrence, welcome.
Hey, get her done. This is the first time I've used this studio for anything other than doing Pixar characters.
Well,
So
Kratz
I
watched.
didn't know if it was going to work or not. I go, well, I'm going to go down there and try it down here. So works pretty good. But anyway,
Kratz
thanks
watched
for having me
Cars.
on, fellas. Go Big Red.
Oh, geez. Kratz watched Cars 2, I think, last night. So he was all excited when he heard you were coming on.
Boy, that's a good one. That was a moneymaker for me.
I love that. I love that.
That was my favorite one.
There's because you made the most money. You were the star in that one. But I have to tell you that the correlation here is like that is by far my kids. My boys are 17, 15, and my daughter's 11. And I moved 14 different teams in my career, hundreds of different moves. That was the movie that was played when my kids were in the back and my wife was driving to the new city. And so she heard that movie, your voice, more than she watched the movie. So it was fun. Last night we actually sat down, or yesterday afternoon we sat down and watched it.
Yeah, that's awesome with how many people like that movie. It was great. A lot of people don't know. This is how good I am at voiceovers. I'm the only celebrity that puts on weight to do voiceovers. That's how good I am. I did my own stunts. I mean, it was so fun. But you know what's crazy about it? You forget like the 18, 20-year-old kids now, that was their movie. So it's really funny when I go down to Nebraska games or basketball games or go down and watch practice for the football. You know, nobody ever remembers down there. Nobody ever remembers Blue Collar Comedy Tour. They don't remember my movies. They don't remember any of that, but they know Mater. And it's just funny watching these 6'6", 320-pound defensive tackles coming up to you going, you're Mater, right? I go, yeah. Oh man, I got to get a picture. Like, so they all know Mater.
Did you put on all that weight because of the pistachio ice cream? That is by far the favorite part of that movie.
Do whatever you do not eat the pistachio ice cream. It has turned. Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, you know the cool thing about it was when I first got there, I was so nervous, and John Laster made me feel so comfortable. And then he, when I got super comfortable, then when he said, "Hey, throw in your own lines, do your own stuff," you know, this character is you. So man, that's when you got to get a lot of get her dones, a lot of dad gums, a lot of that stuff. But funny story though, when I first did it, he was about to say his line. He told me, he said, "Now don't worry, we do each line about 8 to 10 times. So don't think that we don't like it. We just get a lot of takes." And I said, okay. And before I said that, I said, well, do you want me to, is Mater like slow paced, or do you want him fast? Or he says, what are you talking about? He's you. That's why I hired you. He's you. Just be you. I said, okay. So he read his first line, and my first line ever was, my name's Mater, like tomato without the tuh. So he did his line, and I went, my name's Mater, like tomato without the tuh. And then he started laughing. He goes, "Oh, this is going to be so awesome." and I think I only had to do it 2 times. And then, I mean, we zipped through it. It was great. It was so much fun.
That's awesome, man. I want to ask you a little bit. It is a baseball show. I want to know, do you have any baseball background? Did you play a lot? Little league, high school, anything like that?
I love baseball. Is my all-time favorite sport. Absolutely. I went to the smallest school in Division III in Georgia. It was called Baptist University of America in Decatur, Georgia, 2145 Candler Road. And I was the only left-handed guy on the team, and I had a really good arm. And I remember snagging flies. I went out to play first base. I couldn't hit the ball to save my life. And but I could fire them in. So I was throwing these darts in from the outfield to the catcher. So my coach came up and said, "You ever pitched before?" And I said, "No." He said, "You're my only left-handed player I got. I'm going to teach you how to pitch." And he taught me how to pitch. So I pitched for 2 years at Baptist University of America, and it was the greatest time I ever had in my life. But yeah, baseball is I love baseball. I had season tickets. That's how I met Foxworthy. We became such good friends when I was doing stand-up in West Palm Beach at the Comedy Corner. I had season tickets to all the Braves games in the mid-'80s. And Jeff would come down, and for 2 weeks, we would sit 4 rows above the third base dugout. And we would just go to Braves games for 2 straight weeks. And all them guys, Glenn Hubbard and Biff Pocoroba and Murphy. And I mean, it was so much fun. I actually got to be a bat boy in 1980. I got to fill in for 1 day for the Baltimore Orioles when they came to play the Braves. And it was my first experience of a professional baseball dugout with Earl Weaver as a manager. And he used the F word like a dadgum, every word, every single word out of his mouth. It was crazy. But man, I had a good time. That's when they had Ken Singleton and Al Bunbury and all those guys. So yeah, I love baseball. I'm a huge baseball. I'm a huge Braves fan.
This is so happy for me. We have so much in common. I wasn't good at baseball either, and I went to a Division III school. So, and now this might be something else that we might have in common. Is Alex Gordon your favorite player of all time?
I love Alex Gordon, and I love Darren Erstad too.
Oh yeah, boo.
My favorite player of all time behind AJ is.
You better say Dale Murphy if you were a Braves fan.
You know it's Dale Murphy. Absolutely,
of course,
it's Dale Murphy. My all-time. I always put out stuff on social media to try to get him in the Hall of Fame, but Murphy's definitely my favorite. I got a great Murphy story too. I was at Brave spring training back in the day. And I'm in the outfield, and I'm like, "Hey, Murph." He turns around, and I go, "Hey, did you give that crack bat to anybody?" And he goes, "No, you want it?" I said, "Yeah, sure." He said, "Meet me up by the dugout." I mean, you could go anywhere back then. So I went up there. He came out with the bat, asked me my name, signed it for me, and it was awesome. Then the next day, I was back behind the dugout fence again. He came running out there. Sure enough, right? He sees me, goes, "Hey, what's up, Dan? What'd you do with that bat?" I mean, just the nicest guy ever. I loved it.
He was. He was. He still is. He was my favorite growing up too, being a Braves fan. So, hey, can we?
Oh,
I gotta show. I gotta show this video of you because you have a son. He's into bull riding, and this is going to just show your Braves fandom here of you running the 40. And then here comes your son.
Looks like he's racing the freeze.
I kind of mistimed the out there on the shoot.
Don't worry about your son there. Get the hell out of the way.
I know. He lost it right here. He lost his rope right there, and then he came off.
How do you let your kid do that?
Shoo, man.
Man, you know what? I've been involved with that for a long time. When I was a kid, I was always hanging out at rodeos, did some Little Britches rodeo when I was a kid. But when the PBR started, I sponsored Tater Porter from Kenansville, Florida for a long time. He won the PBR finals in 2000, and I had a rodeo team that I sponsored, and I had bulls. I had the bull of the year, I think in 2008, Chicken on a Chain. So I've been involved with it for a while. I never thought my kid would ever, because my kid, he doesn't play sports. He doesn't do any, he's a very timid kid. He has no confidence for anything, and good looking kid, sweet kid. And then one day he just shows up, says he wants to try bull riding. And I'm like, oh boy, I really don't want him to bull ride. And I got to talking to some of the guys, the professionals that have been around forever. And here's what they told me. They said, well, number one, you can't be a helicopter parent. He goes, you can't let your fear of your kids getting hurt doing something get in the way of something that they want to do in life, as long as you've got all the safety precautions and it's safe and there's professionals there helping, knowing what's going on. And he said there's nothing better for a kid. He said when kids want a bull ride, he said there's nothing better for them because it shows them who they are as a man. It gives them all the confidence in the world to do other things in life. And man, they're absolutely correct. My kid's whole countenance has changed. His confidence level is built up, and so far so good. But he loves it. Cody Lambert's his coach down there in Texas, and Cody Lambert, used to ride with Lane Frost and Tuff Hedeman, and he told my boy, he says, look, do not do this if you don't love it. You have to love it. Don't do this because you're trying to prove something. Do it because you love it. He said, do you love it? He said, man, I love it. I mean, he does love it. So, I'm letting him do it and saying my prayers and hope that he gets along fine. So it is a fun sport. So anyway, yeah, I'm letting him do it. I mean, I could do that, or I could let him play football. I mean, there's people get hurt bad in football as well. I think any kind of sport has a pretty good, they all have a danger aspect to them. So, I'm not going to let my kids sit home and be scared to go do anything,
Yeah. Yep, 100% right, man. I got kids that are real young right now. I'm trying to figure out the do's and don'ts, the rights and wrongs. But yes, you're right. Let your kid work on it. If he loves it, let him go, man. My next question, yeah, no doubt. My next question to you is real simple, man. What's next for you? Is there anything on the horizon here coming up? Got anything new coming up? Talk to us about that a little bit.
Well, I ain't bull riding. I know that much. I'm definitely not doing that. You know what? I have had an awesome career. I've had awesome fans. I still sell out on the road when I do shows. I only do about 20 shows a year now. Because Jeff Foxworthy told me a long time ago that if you've done well and you've made the money and you have kids that are still young, don't ever miss those times of their life that you don't miss your kids growing up. And so I only take about 20 shows. About 2015, 2016, I decided I was going to slow it down a bunch and be with my kids. And so I do about 20 dates. Both of my kids now are homeschooled. They homeschooled all the way up till about 9th grade. We toured together and homeschooled. So we lived on a bus 287 days a year. So they're pretty much bus kids. And then they went 9th, 10th grade, and 11th grade in high school. Now my boy's homeschooling again for his last year because he wants to concentrate on his bull riding. So he's homeschooling. And my daughter is going to start homeschooling again next year. And believe it or not, she's rodeo too. She's a roper. she's doing breakaway roping and trying barrel racing. So they're doing that. But no, that's what I'm doing. I do about 20 shows. I do enough to go out and be a star for a night and have a good time. And Pixar keeps me busy. I just got done doing another thing, a little short for Pixar last week. And Jeff and I still have a thing we do on Sirius Radio. We got a channel on there. So I stay pretty busy still.
You need to work on your golf game. You need to work on your golf game. What you need to do.
You know what? I catch crap for this all the time. Here's the thing. I'm not a bad golfer. If you go to the driving range, I'm a Jack Nicklaus on the driving range. I can hit a golf ball. But when the Pro-Am starts, you it gets in your head because you're like going, okay, I'm going to show everybody how much better I got. So instead of your normal shot where you just get up, you get the thing, you're confident, you hit it, you're going through 900 swing shots. Don't do this, don't do that. You take too long, then you shank it, and then you look like a dumbass. And that's what I do. I'm a 13 handicap, and when I play in pro-ams, I'm a 25 handicap.
Hey, you sound like Kratz when he was taking batting practice. He was hitting homers, and the game would start, and he's like, "I can't hit the slider."
Yep. Yep.
I know it gets in your head. You think too much about it. It's like just get up and do it. It's like bull riding. It's like don't think about it. Just get on and do it. If you think JB Mooney always said that. They said, "What do you do when you get on a bull? What do you think about when you get on?" He goes, "Man, I don't think about nothing. I just get on and do it. If I think about it too much, then I'm going to do bad. It's 90% mental, what it is, and that's pretty much golf and anything else. It's 90% mental."
Hey, before you tee off your next pro-am, I just want you to think of one thought before you tee off, so you won't think. All right? It's a line some famous guy said once in a movie or on a comedy tour. Get her done.
Right.
That's it. Just get her done.
Whatever you do, just get her done and hit it. That's what I try to do. Trust me.
All right, so I got a piece of
Absolutely.
advice, and I have a question for you to do an impression. First of all, your kids are homeschooled. Make sure they don't date their teacher. Secondly, you gotta.
That's right. I did that. I did that joke on the Tonight Show in about 2005.
Yeah, you did.
Said, my kids are homeschooled. Unfortunately, they're sleeping with their teacher.
Yep. Yep. That's where I got it from. But I want you to do an impression. I live about 45 minutes outside of Philadelphia. I want you to do an impression of an Atlanta Braves fan after the Braves got eliminated by the Phillies for the second straight year in the playoffs.
And your cheesesteaks suck too. Man, don't even bring that. That is like, you know what? Here's the thing about that. That's the thing about baseball. We win the division, then we take the week off. Meanwhile, the Phillies get hot. That's the thing about a long season. It don't matter what your record is. Whoever is the hottest team the last 3 weeks of the season is generally gonna win it. And I don't think they should take a week off. I think they should continue to play the game, because if you're taking the week off, it doesn't make. I know they do it for TV and they want to make the money, but it's unfair. I don't get how that rewards you taking a week off. It doesn't reward you to take a week off. They need to do something different there.
It's been a good debate. It's been a good debate.
Absolutely. Hey,
I agree.
Can I say one more thing?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, please do. I mean, it is a baseball show, and we had a lot of Braves frustration when they stormed through the season and then got to the playoffs, and they're like, well, we ran into a hot ball club. But then other people are like, the Astros got a break, and they did okay.
Yeah, but they had microphones.
Still? Hey, it's like Nebraska football. They've been taking a break since like 1995.
Absolutely. Hey,
they're in permanent rust.
There's always next year for Nebraska. Mm-hmm. They're a volleyball school now.
The best thing I'm getting off that topic real quick. The best thing to ever happen to the Astros was COVID.
You are right with that. When that was that season, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. They were everything was about to come down on that whole situation, and then it just disappeared.
They got off. They got scotch-free.
It was crazy. I got to tell you, the only hit, I'm going to go back to my baseball career. The only hit, I got one hit. I batted 500 my last year of baseball. And I remember it clearly. We were playing Bristol Community College, and I believe we were playing a Lookout Stadium in Chattanooga. And it was a dub, and I went up to bat, and the catcher said to me, "Hey, pitch, have you had a hit yet this year?" I said, "No, I can't hit. Are you kidding me?" He says, "I'll tell you what." And I had this guy's number, and I remember he said, "I'll tell you what. You give me something to hit. I'll give you something to hit." I said, "Seriously?" He goes, "Yeah." I says, "Yeah, all right." He said, "Will you give me something to hit?" I said, "Absolutely." So he goes, "Okay, fastball down the middle," and the umpire's laughing. Here come the fastball right down the middle. Strike! He goes, "Dude, why didn't you swing? It was perfect." I said, "I thought you were kidding." He says, "No, I want you to get a hit." I said, "Well, slow it down. I can't hit that. That's too fast." He says, "Okay, well, I'll throw you a changeup down the middle." I said, "Perfect." So he threw one down the middle, and I got my first base hit.
Right.
Well, then,
That is epic.
well, then what did he do off you?
He got a double.
Take that trade all day.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
He got a double, and I remember rubbing down the ball and walking to second base and saying, "Man, that's bullshit. I only got a single." that was yeah, that's true. That's my baseball story. It was hilarious.
That's a great trade. That is
And then
a
the
great
other one
freaking
was,
trade.
of course, I went to a Baptist college, and I remember one time my catcher came out. I went into a Gene Garber pitch, and I struck a guy out on a Gene Garber pitch where he went. I only did it twice, and he came out and he dropped the F-bomb on me. And I called everybody in, and we had a 5-minute conversation on the dorm monitor, dropping an F-bomb. Right in the middle of the game.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, that is
That's
amazing.
good. All right. Well,
Hey,
I
by
got
the way,
one more.
did anybody see
Yeah.
the halftime show of the Super Bowl last night?
Yeah. Your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Dude, I saw that, and then my phone pings, and I was billed $9.95 for the Apple halftime show.
Hey, I already used that joke. I saw it on your Twitter this morning. I already used that at the beginning. Hey, I gave you credit, though. I gave you credit. I said he's going to use this, but I stole your joke
man.
before you got to use it.
That's
And you're
good.
right.
That's
I got
all
2
right.
of them because my kids
Never-
are watching it somewhere else.
You know what, AJ? We're both Central Florida folks, so you can use anything I have.
Well, unfortunately, you moved away. I'm still mad at you because
but-
the only time I'd see Dan is we'd be at golf tournaments, and he lived like right down the street. Never seen him. Call him, "Hey Dan, why don't we go play golf?" Nothing. Crickets. And I'd see him in bumfuck Georgia at a golf tournament. He'd be like, "Hey, we should play golf together." I'm like, "What?"
You got to meet him in Lincoln.
Yeah.
June 2nd and
I
3rd.
get,
For the,
AJ, I get busy, man. I get to do it.
yeah.
You just said you
Come
don't
on,
do
man.
anything.
I know.
All right, we got the
I'm
save
go-
the date for the golf event, June 2nd and 3rd. We'll blast that. There it is. The Larry the Cable Guys Golf Classic in Lincoln, Nebraska. June 2 and 3. We getting Alex Gordon there? You got to get some Nebraska legends.
Erstad's got
Yeah,
it.
you know what?
That's gotta
I
be
get.
there.
Well, here's the thing about my tournaments. Darren has played in it twice. Alex has had a couple things. Alex had played it, but Alex is always doing, he's always, it's right in the middle of baseball season. So he's usually got something going on, but I think I'm having this year. I'm not sure, but man, it's a fun tournament. We have a real good time up there, and Ken Griffey Jr. did me a solid and came last year, and
Nice.
that was always a lot of fun. So it's a real good tournament. It's for everything goes to anything that has to do with kids, vets, a lot of rehabilitation stuff, Madonna Rehabilitation Center, and all that kind of stuff. So it's a getherdonefoundation.org. You can go on there and read about it and check it out. It's a fun tournament. It's quick, doesn't last long. A lot of celebrities like doing. And then some of them that play in mine, we also all play together at the BMW tournament in South Carolina. So when we're done there, we all just hop on the plane and fly down to South Carolina.
I love that. Well, we'll promote it, and we'll look forward to it. We'll see if we can get AJ out there. My last one,
AJ always
Yeah.
says he's coming. He never comes. Just like
was it on a
golf.
weekend?
It's on a Sunday, Monday.
Oh, see,
But I used to play in the
Sunday,
Mr.
BMW.
Fox over here.
I played in the BMW one time, and I haven't been invited back because I made the cut, and then I couldn't play on the weekend, so they got mad at me.
Mm.
Ah.
He's got a day
Yeah,
job.
that's That's the thing. Some of them tournaments, if there's one thing you can't do, they get all mad at you. But
Yeah, that's the country
not
club
my
world.
tournament. Not
Nope.
my tournament.
There's no cut at your tournament, only
No.
cut off sleeves.
All right, last one from the fans, and then AJ will finish this. But the fans want to know, is there any Cars 4 talk or a Mater spinoff?
We did Cars on the Road season 1. So they call it season 1. So I'm sure they'll have a season 2. I don't know yet when it'll be. the Cars on the Road could have been the fourth movie, but they cut it up into 9-10 minute sections because they wanted to get it on Disney Plus. So they called it Cars on the Road season 1. So I don't know if there'll be a season 2 or not. I hope so. Believe me, I hope so. I mean, I love doing these things. And here's the cool thing about it. I've done. Anytime you hear Mater, it's me. They don't use a sound-alike for me or anything. I've done everything. I've done the toys, the games, the announcements. So, if you get a toy that's got Mater on it, that is me. That's not a sound-alike AI or anything like that.
That's why you're able to play in all these golf tournaments. 2 things for me, Dan, before we let you go. One, we have Brian Bumgarner on tomorrow. Did you guys make a bet?
He's the best, man. He plays in my tournament. He loves it. He's the best.
Did you guys have a bet at the Hilton Grand Vacations tournament?
No, me and Waltrip did.
Oh, I saw Waltrip yesterday. Who won that bet, by the way?
Waltrip beat me. He lucks out. That guy's got the biggest luck ever. I always figure I got a chance because at about the 13th hole, he gets into the vodka and Gatorade. So I know I can pick up an extra slots on him, but he's a lot, he's a lot cooler than I am down there. He doesn't. Here's the thing with me, though. I'm messing with fans. I'm telling jokes. I'm always the last one to the tee box. Whenever the guy from NBC comes around, it's always, you guys got to speed up, so I go fast. I don't have time to concentrate like Michael does.
Okay. Makes sense. He was at a volleyball tournament with me yesterday, so that was pretty incredible to see him. He's like, "There's all these whistles. What is happening at these and it was only the second one he'd ever been to, so it was different to see him. And he had a hat. I posted it. He had a hat that said Michael Waltrip on it. He had his own hat. It'd be like you walking around with a hat that says Larry the Cable Guy. Like, hey, everyone, look at me.
I know, Michael Waltrip's hilarious, man. I love hanging out with Mikey. He's the real deal. He's one of the nicest guys out there. But that's totally him to have. Hi, my name is Michael Waltrip on his hat.
Exactly.
That's his name tag.
All right, so last thing, I just want to say thank you because I know you gave a bunch of money to the Arnold and Winnie Palmer hospital here in Orlando. So both of my kids were born there at Winnie Palmer. So I'm personally just want to say thank you for doing that. It means a lot to people from Orlando that grew up here, knew Arnold and Winnie. So again, thank you. Thank you for coming on with us.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you for everything.
You got it, AJ. Thanks for asking me to do it. And here's the cool thing about the Arnold Palmer with my boy's hip. There was the International Hip Dysplasia is named after. My boy was born with his hip out of socket real bad. He was going to have surgery and went down there and they took care of it. And look at him now. He's riding bulls. So they did a fantastic job.
That's awesome.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Hey, I'm here too, so I appreciate it.
I mean, it's the best. If it's not the best pediatric place to be born, it's Winnie Palmer is unbelievable.
It's up there.
Yeah, definitely,
absolutely.
My stepmom works there. I mean, I have family all there, so it's a big thing for me.
Well, we appreciate you. It's great having you on. Hope you had some fun getting a little baseball talk going, and we'll hopefully catch you down the road for some Braves either celebrating or therapy.
Yeah, I hope not therapy. I can't handle that anymore. But you know what? The whole season, I'm having a good time up until the last 10 days.
Yeah, you're gonna enjoy 105 wins. You might have a week of pain, but it's gonna be a good summer for you again. So enjoy it. Enjoy the ride. All right.
I will. Appreciate you, AJ. Thank you, buddy. I love you, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, man. Love you too. Thanks, pal.
Thank you.
See you at Ironworth at some point.
Hopefully, if you ever ask me.
Yeah. Hey, let's play tomorrow.
Perfect.
There you go. Exactly. Cheers, Dan. Appreciate it. That was fun. Larry the Cable Guy with us.
A little different.
I love it.
A little different.
But also baseball talk.
Yeah, I didn't know. I honestly didn't know he played. I didn't know he played college baseball.
I did not either. And he negotiated a hit. Fan. You guys ever get asked that? I guess for the catchers, you or Kratz, you guys ever, I mean, not in a major league game, but anyone ever say anything to you where they're like actually trying to either get insight or be like, oh, take it easy on me. One of those lines.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm getting up there. Take it easy on me.
Oh, yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Those are the ones
Did you
that
say
scared
that,
me.
Todd Father?
I told the guy, I said, you probably throw right down the plate 3 times here, and I'm probably not going to hit it. I've told that to a catcher a bunch of times.
Did it ever work? Did you ever get one down the middle
No,
right after saying that?
I didn't do well. Yeah, it was just your mindset's a big thing, bro. When you start being stupid like that, or silly, I should say. I don't like that word. But when you start, you play mind games, they throw right down the plate. Next thing you know, they actually do, and now you're screwed because you didn't think they would. So, the catchers are smart. So you catchers were very smart. You try and play tricks on them, they play tricks on you.
Yeah.
Mind games.
Yeah.
It was good, but he actually did pull it off. He didn't believe him, and then next pitch, just change up, please.
Yeah, that's too hard.
At his school, they might not. The guy on the mound might not have had the best feel for a change up, so it might have just been a slower fastball.
Whatever.
No, I'm saying that's good. That's what he needed.
Cliff Lee in spring training, and I know spring training at bats don't matter. He said in spring training, he goes, "Hey, I know you need to make the team." When I was over with the Blue Jays, he goes, "So I'm going to throw one right down the middle to you." He said, "I like your family." He's like, "I want you to go get a hit." He said, "Just don't hit it back at me."
Nice.
First pitch right down the middle. Base hit to left.
Bam. Love that.
God, Kratz, you love the practice. You love
It
it.
means
That's all I
nothing to
had.
Cliff.
That's all I had.
Should have done more of that. It means nothing to Cliff. Get Kratz's hits.
I don't think I've told the story on here. So you guys remember? I think his name was Brian Bannister. No, Brian.
Brian Bannister was a guy.
No, not Brian Bannister. Gosh, he was a lefty for the Pirates. He was a first-round pick. He made it. I don't think he ever made it. He ended up getting
Brian Bullington.
And now he's a long drive.
Bullington.
Guy. Is that him? Yeah. He's from like Palm Beach or something down there. I don't know.
He was a 1-1, right?
Yeah, he was like a high pick. Whatever. This guy. So I go to this golf tournament, and he's the long drive, like watch how far I can hit it, Happy Gilmore guy. He goes, "Hey, I got to tell you this story." He goes, "Like my favorite story I ever had." And he's like, "I never played in the big leagues." He's like,
Not Bullington.
I made it, but I was in big league camp, and I come out, and I'm facing you, and there's 2 outs, and there's nobody on. And I throw a pitch, and it's a ball, and then the next pitch, I'm shaking. And you yell out to me, like, "Just throw the fucking changeup. I'm just going to hit a ground ball. I'm done after this at bat. Let's hurry this up." And he said he was on the mound, and he looked at me and goes, "Wait, what?" And I go, "Just throw the changeup. I just want to get this over with." So he throws it. I hit a ground ball to second. I'm running to first. He said, and I look at him. I go, "Thank you. What took so long?" And he said, "That was like my big league moment." He said, you were done after that at bat. I was happy I got you out, and it was over.
Wow, look at you.
Yeah.
Very charitable with your spring training outs.
I feel like I know who that is. It's not Bullington.
Bradley? Bobby Bradley? Bobby Bradley?
It's a Pirates first-round pick? Everyone's like hitting Google hard right now.
I think it's Bobby Bradley. Because he played it. Yeah, he's from Wellington.
Okay, no, I wouldn't have.
Former minor league pitcher.
1999 first-round pick.
Yeah, see? I wasn't that crazy.
8th overall.
See?
Body Bradley.
And he said, I was standing on the mound. I was nervous because it was my first big league camp. And he said, I just kept shaking because my changeup was my best pitch. And I finally just yelled at him, "Just throw the changeup because I'm just going to hit a ground ball."
And he never made it.
No, I know. He got hurt. I think he hurt his arm. He can hit a golf ball long ass ways. 2000
futures game, but never made it.
Yeah. Well.
I think in 2000, Baseball America had him 20th. Didn't happen.
Prospects. Kids. Trade them.
They're suspects at times. Just saying. All right, let's get back to some transactions, some money moves. We're checking in with our guy Robbie Ray to see if we can get him. So sometimes those West Coasters will hit us later and go, 215? Thought you meant 215 West Coast. He's also got 4 little ones, but we'll try to get him. In the meantime, Jurickson Profar signs a contract with the San Diego Padres. He's back. He loved it. He said he loved playing there. I'm sure he loves getting $1 million too, and $1.5 in incentives based on plate appearances. Todd Father, did you know that the San Diego Padres only had 2 outfielders on their 40-man roster up until now? Obviously, Profar coming through. How many outfielders do you need usually in a game?
I think it's like anywhere from 3 to 3.
Yeah. So I was like 2. Obviously, they were going to try to work some other dudes.
Sometimes you need a 4 just in case some guy gets hurt in the middle of a game.
That would be nice. And, you should probably have some backup, some insurance. So I know they were trying like Paxton Merrill out there. Yeah. Well, Profar can play all over, but I mean, he plays in the outfield. So.
Dude, these people come up with some funny shit, man. I don't know.
Wait, we got to read it for the podcast crowd.
Padres tweeting out it's baseball season in quotations when they got one outfielder on the roster. And what's this actor's name? I don't even know.
Ryan Gosling.
Gosling has got the most confused face ever. It's the funniest.
I love memes.
I want to send that to a lot more people.
He was Ken, wasn't he? In
Yes,
Barbie?
he was Ken and Barbie. He's played a ton of roles. Notebook, all that stuff.
None of the movies I've ever seen.
Come on.
Barbie, Notebook. He's probably seen some.
You're 0 for 2.
How about the Big Short? You know
I never saw that.
Financial Crash. Oh, you'd like that. That's a good one. That's a good one. Everyone's in that one. Anyway,
Notebook, good movie.
Notebook, good movie.
Yeah.
Jerks and Profar.
Says the guy who likes practice hits.
I didn't like him. I just had to take him seriously.
Do you know how much Profar signed for last year with the
He went
Rockies?
to Colorado, right? And then he got traded to San Diego. Where'd he get traded?
Did he get traded?
Yeah, he didn't finish with the Rockies last year.
No, I don't think. I think he was wasn't he with the Padres or no?
Did he get dealt back? Oh
No.
yeah, you're right. He did.
Where did-
14 games.
Yeah.
You're right.
He didn't get dealt back. He got claimed.
Cut. He got cut.
Whatever.
Yeah.
He got something.
You're right. He got
He didn't
cut.
get claimed. He got picked up.
What did he make last year? $6 million?
$7.75 million on a 1-year deal with the Rockies last year, and he had a negative 1.3 WAR, so that's not good. But I also think, I mean, I watched enough. Who knows? I mean, I'm not watching every Rockies game, but 80 OPS plus. They did not grade him well defensively. He had 242, 321 on base, 368 slug, and you're with the Rockies, so if you're not smashing the ball, then they're going to be all over you. But is he a negative 1 or 2 win player? I don't think so. I think he'll probably be. He's a replacement player. I think he'll be a 4th outfielder, and for them, he might get playing time. And he was better with them. What?
Yeah, he was better with the Padres.
2022, I think. Let's see. He had an okay years. 109 OPS plus.
Did you guys ever play like with the number one because when I was with the Rangers, Profar was like the number one prospect
Above
in baseball.
Bryce.
Yeah. And I remember, I'll never forget, and I love Jurickson. He's like a great guy, happiest guy in the world. And I remember going to spring training, and I'd be like, man, we got the number one I want to see this dude.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes out, and I was like, he's small. He was like littler than I thought.
Yes.
He couldn't run, because normally like number one guys, they can run, they got pop, they're big dudes like Bryce and Trout, and like some of these dudes that are like, you're like, damn, I see it. And he turned out to be a good player, but it was just like, I remember I looked at Ian Kinsler and I said, I go, Ian, like that is that Profar? He's like, yeah. He goes, not what you thought, is he? And I was like, no, I thought he'd be bigger. And again, he's had a great career. I mean, he's had a very nice career. But just when you hear, it's weird because, Baseball America was such a thing back then. This is before like the internet. So you would get the Baseball American, like number one prospect, Jurickson Pro. And I was like, damn, I want to see what the number one prospect looks like. And he played for us that year and did a bunch of good stuff. And again, he's had a nice career, but it was just like, wow, this wasn't what I thought.
No, he did not check out as a top end player, obviously. But
he's played 10 years. I mean, he's not like
parts
he's
of 10
awful.
seasons. No, and he's made some money too.
Yeah.
I know he signed that
He's
one
had
deal.
some good years.
Yeah, he has. 2020 had a good year and then signed. I mean, that was a short year, but then he signed, I think, 3 years, 21 mil with 2 opt-outs. Yeah, so
he has been very opportunistic in his career. I think same way. The first time I ever saw him, I was like, man, I'm never good at seeing that like undeveloped player and seeing what he will be when the size and the strength aren't there. Like Cesar Hernandez. Like I saw him in spring training when they first put him on the roster, and I was like, he had just played in rookie ball or like low A, and I was like, I don't know. Turned out to be a really solid player. Like I think Cesar's a better player than Jurickson is. I just, my thing is $1 million contract. Like he's making a few $100,000 more than dudes that are making the minimum. I didn't think there'd be any more $1 million contracts.
Well, the Padres are desperate.
What do you mean by I don't think there would be any more $1 million contracts? Like you just either get the league minimum or it's the big boys?
No. I thought at least, I thought that number would now be up to like 1.5. If you're a free agent, you're going to get either 1.5 or you're getting minor league deals. So I'm sure they wanted to give him a minor league deal, and he was like, just at least $1 million guaranteed, which, he has another 1.5 in incentives that he can make. So it's a $2.5 million deal if he plays the whole year.
Yeah, if he starts out well and the Padres don't end up getting much help, and maybe the young guys like a Jackson Merrill is not really working out in the outfield for them that they try out in spring training, then he gets some playing time and he's 2.5. Good for him. And the Padres have to kind of bargain shop right now because they cut their budget down. I mean, they still have a huge payroll, but they had to kind of cut it down and find guys like this. Yeah. They have a lot of good players, and their pitching depth is better this year. All right, let's get to our next guest, who actually will be facing that team quite a bit now. He is a new member of the San Francisco Giants. Thank you, Kratz. I'm trying to train you. Robbie Ray joining us right now on FT Live for the first time. Looking good. Robbie, how you doing, man? And how you feeling? Oh, wait, we got you on mute. Do you guys hear him?
No,
I don't hear him.
Hold on. I think we got you on mute, bud.
It's okay. That hair is looking delicious, and we get to look at that hair the whole time. I mean,
check that out. And the fade, I mean, he's got it.
Did you get a haircut just for this interview?
Wait, let's try again.
He did. Nice. Still nothing.
Nothing yet.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Hey!
We got him. All right, now you have a chance to respond. What's up?
Yeah, doing good. I'm over at the facility right now, actually.
And how you feeling?
Feeling good. I'm feeling really good. Recovery, the whole process is going really well. So starting to ramp up the throwing. Elbow's feeling great. So pretty happy with where I'm at right now.
How does that work? Because you were traded in the middle of a rehab. Do you go to the how does that work? Because most teams sign like a guy for a 2-year deal, knowing he's going to miss 1 year because he's having rehab. You were already having the rehab, and then you had a weird clause in your contract, and Jerry DiPoto didn't he knew exactly when to trade you. It was weird. But how does that work? Do they just send over the doctor? The doctor traded with you? Does a rehab guy trade? How does that explain that?
Yeah, so it was definitely a little weird because you're going through a whole process with one team, and then all of a sudden you're expected to kind of pick it up with another team, and they haven't had hands on you at all. So the first few days is just like getting to know each other. They're getting to know you and your body and how you kind of click and how you work. So, for me, it was a different experience. First time ever going through a process like this. It wasn't ideal, but I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to be a part of the Giants, and I'm looking forward to the future.
All right, before I started playing and I was watching guys, I was like, dudes get traded, guy must be a turd. I went to 14 different organizations, and I'm like, well, I hope I'm not a turd. You've been traded for as good a pitcher as you are. You've been traded so many times. When you signed that contract with the Mariners, did you have that clause in there because your wife is like, we ain't getting traded anymore? Or was it because you were like, wait a minute, Jerry DiPoto's signing this contract with me. I need to put some clauses in there?
Yeah, I think for me, it was a little bit of just wanting some stability, wanting stability for my family. And, just knowing that we were going to be in one place for more than just a year. So, for me, it was kind of for me and my family to have that stability, but understanding that, once that 2 years was up, that there was a very good chance that I'd be out of there.
Let me ask you this. When do you realistically see yourself coming back? 2-part question. And then how do you think the Giants are going to do this year, man? Do you see you guys realistically being a playoff team?
Yeah, so I am probably set to come back right after the All-Star break, sometime in late July. And yeah, I think we definitely have the ability to do it. We got the arms to do it. We're probably looking to add, a bat or two, maybe. We'll see how that goes on that end. But I think, for the most part, we got the arms to do it. So it's going to be a fun year.
Robbie, when you heard initially that you were dealt, were you surprised, kind of playing off what AJ said, just because you were going through the rehab process? What was your first reaction when you heard about it and got the call?
Yeah, it was definitely surprising. You don't hear about it too often, guys getting traded in the middle of a Tommy John rehab. So it's definitely something that's not very common. So it definitely caught me off guard a little bit. But then, getting to talk to people and getting over here to the Giants facility and getting to meet guys, they made the transition a lot easier for me.
So you started this grunting action in 2016. Talk to us a little bit about that. You usually hear this in tennis. You hear guys or girls when they're hitting the ball screaming back and forth with a loud noise. What has this done for you, and has this helped you out a lot? Because I feel like you've done this throughout ever since 2016. Does it calm you down? What's the main point about this whole action when you make the noise?
Yeah, I think for me, it was kind of a turning point in 2016. I remember being in Miami and just throwing maybe one of the worst pregame bullpens I've ever thrown in my life. And I was walking in from the bullpen, and Mike Butcher was my pitching coach at the time, and he was just like, hey, what do you got? And I'm like, I got nothing. What do you got? And he's like, I just want you to throw every pitch as hard as you can for as long as you can. That's it. Get as hard as you can for as long as you can. And I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, just try it. And that just kind of came out. It was just a way for me to just kind of allow everything to go into every single pitch. And I just kind of stuck with it.
Do you feel like this injury was on the horizon? Did you feel like was there any time when you were like, because it was so unfortunate, you were 3 innings into your season. Like, were you like, as you're warming up, you're like, this is warming up for the season. Like, as you're going into spring training, where you're like, there's just something a little different. Can pitchers tell that?
For me, it was probably my best spring training I've ever had. I mean, I was coming out, firing bullets and feeling really good. Arm felt great. Velo was up from the previous year. My stuff was crisp from the beginning. And then even, in the game that I blew out, it was, first inning I came out guns blazing. Everything felt great. And then second inning was a different story. And I just felt it. Just felt my elbow grab on me, and then I tried to just pitch as deep as I could into the game, because for me it was the second game of the year. It's like the last thing I wanted to do was just destroy our bullpen for the entire year. So I just gutted it out and tried to go as deep as I could.
Is it something that you sit there and you go, oh man, I should totally come out of this game, and now that you didn't come out of the game, you pitched through that? Is that something to work through as your rehab, like your first throws that you're now like going to start really ramping it up off the mound? Do you have to like think about it? Because you threw quite a few pitches with that pain in the elbow.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully right now my elbow feels great. I mean, I've had no issues with the elbow, nothing going on. I mean, it feels like a brand new elbow. I keep waking up the next day after throwing, expecting to be sore, and I'm not sore at all. So, that's been super encouraging for me in this whole process, is just how my arm has been able to bounce back.
So you mentioned that Mike Butcher said, just go out there and throw every pitch as hard as you can and see what happens, right? That was kind of a big turning point for you, and you went out and obviously won a Cy Young and have been awesome ever since before the injury. Blake Snell is a free agent that's still out there, and that's kind of his philosophy, right? I mean, your walks are higher than average, but you strike out enough guys, your stuff is good enough. Can you outstuff guys for a length of period? And then, I mean, obviously you've won a Cy Young. Blake Snell's won 2 Cy Youngs. So you can just outstuff guys, basically. And you're like, if I walk them, I'm going to strike out the next 3, so who cares?
Yeah, I think that's kind of how I feel, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like my stuff is good enough and it plays well enough to where like I don't have to give in to guys. And I think that, my best stuff on my best day is better than whatever's standing at the plate. And that's the confidence that I have in my stuff.
That's cool. I like that.
I like that. I love that answer.
It's a good line for teams too that are still like, should we sign Blake? Because actually your team is who I have predicted for 6 months. And I still think that the Giants are going to sign Blake Snell, which would be a cool combo to have those two together.
So what's weird though is Jerry DiPoto said that, the Mariners only want to win 54% of the time. So, Robbie was trying to go 100% of the time. So that's why he traded him, because he's like, man, this guy's giving 100% effort and trying to win instead of just 54% effort.
What did you think of that line when you heard that initially?
Yeah. So in my mind, everybody is, it's tough because everybody's thinking it, but it's a tough line to say out loud. When you say it out loud and you hear yourself say it, it's kind of a tough thing to hear. But everybody understands that that's kind of what teams do. They plan for, they plan for up years and down years. You could win 100 games, and then the very next year you could lose 100 games. So, I mean, in a 5-year span, sure, you might win 54% of the games, and that's what you're shooting for. But from like a fan base standpoint, it's just really tough to say that out loud.
Yeah, and I guess the case that I thought was really interesting was Cal Raleigh, right? So he hears that and he kind of said, "Look, we have a team in the Texas Rangers that just got over the hump and got into the playoffs." Then those comments I think were made at the end of your season with the M's. And then the Rangers end up winning. So I guess the aggressiveness that we saw from their front office once they had a core in place was what put them over the top. And I can feel the pain from M's fans, and I know from some players we've talked to behind the scenes and some on the show that they didn't kind of do a little bit more. Do you feel like the team was bummed about that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we traded away our closer in Seawald, and it's tough. It's tough when you feel like you're going for it, and then all of a sudden you're trading guys away, and guys that are instrumental in winning games. And so I think for me, it just seemed like we were one or two guys away, and the team felt that, and the players felt that, but it just never lined up with ownership.
What do you know now about the Giants? Who have you talked to, and did you get a call, pretty quickly from someone like Farhan Zaidi or Bob Melvin? I know you've played against him many times. I don't know if you've come across him or had many combos with him.
Yeah, so Farhan reached out to me. All the staff, all the front office, they kind of reached out to me and welcomed me to the organization. And since I've been here, everybody has been awesome, and it's just a great group of guys from top to bottom. Like I said, I'm excited to be here, and um, I'm looking forward to this year because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. The group of guys that I've been able to talk to and kind of get to know so far, it seems like they like to have fun. I like to have fun, so it's going to be a fun year.
Yeah, you've got some good talent in the rotation too. I don't know what you know about like Kyle Harrison. They signed Jordan Hicks, who's going to try himself, in the starting rotation. But have you seen some of the guys that you're going to spend time with? Because I will say this also, multiple young pitchers on the Mariners would bring your name up. I think first, I would probably say in the past few years, where they'd be like, "Who's helping you? Like, who do you go to?" And they're like, "Robbie Ray." So you could be that guy here, in addition to what you'll bring in July.
Yeah, I mean, I've been able to sit in and watch some bullpens, and like you said, Harrison, that guy, his stuff is explosive and it's really fun to watch. And I've been able to watch Webb pitch, and got to see Jordan Hicks pitch, throwing a bullpen too. So, I've been able to be around and watch guys throw and kind of see how they go about their business, and it's been a lot of fun. But I think for me, when guys are ready to talk to me, then I'm fully open. So I think that I make myself available to the younger guys, and I am always open as a sounding board for sure for those guys.
Robbie, you obviously prefer starting, right? I know when you came up, you kind of came out of the bullpen a little bit here and there, but then in 2022, and I'm sorry bringing this up, but you came out of the bullpen and obviously gave up a big home run. Was that different for you? And then to kind of tie it all in, do you think that had anything to do with then you going down the next year? Because the next year you were almost hurt from the jump, right? And you hadn't pitched out of the bullpen in a really long time until you got that opportunity. So do you think the two are connected?
I don't think they were. I mean, for me, that was a tough situation because I'd never been in a situation where you're walking off the mound and the game's over. And it took me a little while to process that, but I had guys around me like Erik Swanson and Paul Sewald and those guys that kind of helped me walk through those emotions and really, really process that. And those guys were super instrumental in like me understanding the mental side of that happening. because I had never been in that situation before in my entire career. So it was definitely tough for me. But I definitely don't think that played into the injury going into the next year.
Take us. So you kind of hit on a little bit afterwards. Take us as you're coming out of the bullpen for that situation, because big league, this like a mindset of a Cy Young award-winning pitcher is a rare thing to hear. So I want to hear what you were thinking going into that situation.
Yeah, I think coming out of the bullpen, running in, the stadium's rocking. There's two guys on. Everybody's loud. There's not a whole lot. I wasn't thinking a whole lot about much. I was just getting my warm-up pitches in and just really trying to dial it in for those 8 pitches that I had, and then going over the game plan, just trying to stay hard against him. First pitch, he fouled straight back. It was like, I probably got away with one there. And then the next pitch, it was game over. So it was just one of those things where, like I said, I never experienced that before, walking off the mound and losing like that. So it was definitely difficult during the time, but having those guys around me was huge.
Okay, so you mentioned Sewald and some of the other guys. Like, we have Sewald on here all the time. He's one of the great guests we have on here because they were down 0-2 in the NLCS this year. He came on and was like, we're going to win. We're going to get to 7 and we're going to win. So, again, I've never been in that situation as a pitcher. I've obviously watched giving up as a catcher, giving up walk-off hits and walk-off homers and the whole deal. And you're like, gosh, you just play it over and over. So what does Sewald say to you? What do the other guys say to you? Because I know I've gone up to the pitcher and been like, hey, man, it's okay. Like, we'll get him tomorrow, like, and try to talk them through it, especially younger guys. But at that time, you're a veteran guy. You've been through a lot. So you just come off a Cy Young award. I mean, so what do these guys say to you? Because this always fascinates me.
Yeah, I think, for me, it was Paul came up to me and was just like, look, you should have never been in that game. Like, I let those guys get on, and I put you in that situation. And, he's like, I'm the closer, and I should have locked it down. He was like, you should never feel like you shouldn't feel like you lost this game. We all lost it. And I think for me, like, hearing him say that, like, we lost as a team, and it wasn't just my fault. Like, that was the biggest thing that kind of helped me out with that. It was like, everybody's still on my side. It's not like I went out there and tried to give up the game. And everybody knows that I'm prepared, and I put in my work, and I do my job the way you're supposed to do it. So it was just one of those things where, that night it didn't work out. It just happened to be in the playoffs in a big situation. So, but hearing him tell me that, it was definitely made it easier.
That's really cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome on a teammate level, of guys that people don't get to hear a lot of. Like, for that guy and for other guys to come up to you. And I mean, that's what it's all about. That's why you play, and that's why you have a team and you have guys that have your back. That's awesome to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Makes sense too. Paul's on this show quite a bit. Makes sense. Like, he is straight shooter, accountable, the whole deal. And also, I mean, he went from your team to a team that was a couple wins away from a World Series. So it makes a lot of sense. That was a tough one. These guys know when he was traded from the M's, I was fuming. It's like, you don't trade. I get it. You got some bats, but I was like, you don't trade your closer when you're a fringe playoff team. I'm like, you can't, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, trade some prospects, because the Mariners have a pretty good farm system. Like, you can't, last one on this, I guess, you can't trade your closer mid-season, even if you're trying to also get some contact-oriented bats. Do you agree, like, how that affects the clubhouse? We've had Hader on the other day. He was dealt from the Brewers mid-season. They fell apart after that.
Yeah. I mean, those guys are, a guy like Paul is kind of the glue in the bullpen. And so, like, when you get rid of a guy like that, a guy that's so respected and a guy that, carries so much weight, it does affect the team. And I mean, you saw it in years prior too, when they got rid of, when they traded, Kendall Graveman to Houston. It was the same situation. They got rid of one of their guys, and it was like, what are we doing? I thought we were adding to this team to try to win. I didn't think we were subtracting.
And
it sucks, dude.
Dipoto was a reliever, wasn't he?
He was you don't remember the guy when I wrestled that I said I'd beat his ass with he was Dipoto's roommate in college.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at VCU.
What
I
a
did not-
WWE connection we have.
Yeah,
exactly.
there it is.
Robbie
All right.
Ray, Jerry DePoto, and his roommate.
Simon Diamond.
I got one more for you before you jump. Here's another connection. You grew up with Mookie Betts, or you played ball with him growing up?
Yeah, we played summer ball growing up together. I've known Mookie since we were probably 12 years old.
Whew. Did you see all this coming? The player that he's become, all around talent, and he's like, Mr. Hollywood. He's been on here, before too, and talked about the transition from Boston to LA, and now obviously LA has 10,000 freaking media members and cameras, and Mookie can handle it. I mean, he's so personable.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you definitely could see the talent there growing up. He didn't have like the power that he has now, but he was a gap to gap guy, doubles, and you could see that once he kind of grew into his body, he got a little bit bigger, got a little bit older, a little more mature. You could see that the power was going to come, and he was going to take off. I mean, he was a special talent. From the very beginning.
That's
but
awesome.
if you ask him who dropped tanks in high school, he'll tell you who dropped tanks in high school.
Oh shit!
Flex on him.
What'd you do? What kind of damage did you do?
Oh yeah, I mean, well, he was so Tony Kemp would lead off, and then Mookie he was like our number 2 hitter, and then I would come in as a 3-hole, and I'd drive us all in.
Golly.
What team was this? Was this like
He
a
rode the
Canes
bus.
national team
Is
or
this
something?
the NIL?
Yeah, this is Nashville Yankees growing up. Like
Nashville
a summer ball
Yankees.
team.
Okay.
You boys were
That's
getting
cool.
free cars when you turned 16, weren't you?
Yeah.
A team like that.
I love it. Well, Robbie, hope you enjoyed it, man. It was great having you on. We've been looking forward to having you on, especially moving over to the new squad. Good luck with the rehab. We'll be tracking and following, and we'll see you in the second half of the season, all right?
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you. Robbie Ray joining us on FT Live. Good stuff. And I love that line
I
at the
love the
end.
honesty
Dude, he
too,
was the
by the way.
cleanup hitter with those. That's a sick team.
That was a pretty good
I mean,
team.
Todd Father, you're the Little League legend, but if you guys matched up against
No.
Betts, Kemp, and Robbie Ray cleaning up, and then he can throw $1 billion against you, that's
No
Lights
chance. Good
What did you
luck.
call them? The Nashville Yankees?
yes.
Yeah, that must have been their squad back in the day.
Is that like a East Cobb? Is that like what is
I
that?
don't
No clue.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
Never
They
heard
were
of
good,
I
though.
thought you guys knew who it was.
No. I know. I've known Kemp for years. Actually, I don't know. We haven't had him. Or
We
no,
had
we
Kemp
had him
on.
on.
We
We
had
had
him
him
on.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
we
was
did.
He's
good.
still a free agent too, by the way. Isn't he?
He is still a free agent. He'll sign.
He has like 5 teams looking at him.
Yeah,
I
he'll
mean,
be fine. I'm
Phillies.
not concerned for him. Yeah.
So does Cody Bellinger. But,
Phillies.
I mean,
Right.
No,
Well,
he doesn't. He has 1. Cubs.
Cubs. Okay,
Oh,
true.
damn.
All right. Well, on that note, before we get to slap, just for 2 more minutes, because there were 2 other moves we didn't get to because we've been busy with guests. So it's been a fun show. I want to get to Spencer Turnbull, who did sign with the Philadelphia Phillies. So Kratz, a little more pitching depth, $2 million and $2 million in incentives. He had like the weird situation. We got into it a little bit last year, but where he got optioned and then didn't report, and then they end up putting him on the IL for the neck
he didn't
discomfort.
pitch very much last year. He hadn't pitched in like 3 years.
He's gotten hurt a lot. But $2 million plus $2 million in incentives. Good flyer to take if you're the Phils. And I'm good with the Phils so far, but I know some people are pissed about their offseason. So Kratz, to add a little, pitching potential here. Your thoughts?
I mean, they're kind of like the Braves in the sense they got to add around the fringes. I think Turnbull. You hear all these guys, like Scotty Barnes. I think he just did he threw for teams because he was hurt. To me, a guy like Turnbull, if he can show he's healthy, if he can show he regained that 1 mile an hour that he lost from the previous years, last year, like his velo was just down last year. So to me, this is the kind of fringe ads that the Phillies need. I mean, you look at teams that are really good and you say, how do they make sure they have depth for what they already have on the roster? Because it's going to happen. And I think Turnbull's a guy that can go out and give you innings. He's been out of baseball for a little bit in the sense of 7 starts last year. You're going to need, hopefully you only need 7 starts from him. So I think it's something that it's a good pickup, and maybe he can give you some innings in the pen too.
Here's my one other underrated part. So Todd Father, for example, playing on some playoff teams, you play on a consistent playoff team over the years, the pitching starts to get hit. You know, I mean, I'm not saying underperformance, but they know you got to be careful with the arms. I'm talking about starters and relievers. So you need more guys like this, even if they're not going to be on your playoff roster. Like Zach Wheeler's been a stud. He's been healthy. Nola's obviously super durable. Ranger Suarez, etc. But like, I mean, chances are you're going to deal with some shit because they're always pitching an extra month in the last few years.
Yeah, and as you've seen, when it comes down to it, you need pitching depth. You don't want, I'm not saying this guy's going to be the 4 starter in a playoff run. He might, all of a sudden come out and say, I mean, he got 6'3". He's got some prowess on the mound. He threw average around 93 miles an hour with his fastball and 2-seamer. But at the same time, it's one of those guys to give somebody a break or, to go out there and shove and just help out along. So I do like this pickup. I think he can come back and be the pitcher that he was before and go out there and dominate. So I think it's a really good pickup for the Phillies, and we'll see how it turns out. So it's one of those, okay, let's see.
Yeah, he was actually really good in 21. I mean, the problem, obviously, like AJ mentioned, has been injuries. But, he made 9 starts in 2021, 50 innings. But he was good in those innings, sub-3 ERA. Yeah. I mean, he's had some, or was it sub-3? Where am I here? Yeah, sub-3. Yeah, he's had some okay success. Just got to see if he's healthy. And then lastly, on the signings front, the smaller signings front, but a dude that's made a ton of dough in his career. And Kratz, you'll have to kick this one off because Yasmani Grandal has signed a contract. Number 1 with the Pittsburgh Pirates, okay, former team of yours. Number 2, he stole your job with the Brewers years back, and we talked to Stearns about it the other day. He didn't apologize. And number 3, and this is actually the most notable part in my mind, did you see when the story came out, when the news broke? It's like the first
in the middle of
quarter
the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So Pirates. So
like,
Pirates of it.
I'm like, you guys, like, at least, you're Pittsburgh. You signed a guy that people know. Like, wait till Monday or something to leak that shit. Like, do you need to actually get the deal done at 6:30 on a national holiday?
It just shows that they are super focused on baseball and making the Pirates better. 4 years ago, this would have been a signing that would have been, whoa, look at the Pirates doing it. Now it's a good, it's a good piece. I thought it was going to be Gary. I thought Gary was going to be the Pirates guy, but it's a switch hitting catcher who gets on base, puts together good at bats. He had a down year last year. Everybody has down years. It doesn't mean he can't do it this year. And he didn't steal my job, okay? It's kind of like you guys seen Friday when Debo took his chain. That's what happened. Debo, there was no fight. There wasn't like he didn't sneak in and steal. It was just like Pirates need an actual catcher here. So I'm going to go ahead and sign for $17.9 million for a 1-year prove it deal. And I don't know who's in the way, but he's going to lose his job. And that was me.
He's actually, Kratz, to be honest with you, he's had 2 down years, and you could borderline. He hasn't really played a whole lot either. Yeah. So
he's 34. You don't know. It could be done.
Yeah. I mean, listen, he had 2 bad years in a row with the White Sox. Power.
Yeah, I didn't realize how bad 22 was.
He lost all his power. That was the thing. He would hit you 15 to 20 homers in the last couple of years. He hasn't hit any homers. So that's what I think is more concerning. And I think opponents also are like, if you don't slug, the whole I'm going to stand up there and take walks trick, it doesn't work as well because teams aren't afraid of you. They're like, yeah, screw it, we'll throw it down the middle. This dude's going to hit a single. He's a base clogger. If you're slugging the ball out of the ballpark, it's a way different animal. So, I mean, listen, good for the Pirates, good for Yasmani. Always been a nice guy to me, and I hope it works out for you in Pittsburgh.
He's got an opportunity. So,
yeah, because the catcher
Rodriguez
got hurt,
is out for the year.
He hurt his arm.
He's a good catching prospect with the Pirates. Henry Davis is what? Is he a catcher?
Not according to what I was told last year.
Right.
Our inside sources say no.
Well, our inside source was when I asked Derek Shelton why Henry Davis wasn't catching. He goes, he's not ready to catch. He's playing right field.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
And he actually came in to catch that game, and was not. I think he caught 2 games last year, and that was one of them. And it was not good. He
might not be a big league catcher.
Yeah, his bat plays though. That's why they want him there because his bat he can hit, but he's athletic enough to play the outfield, and they needed an outfielder, so we'll put him in right field. He's got a cannon for an arm. But this is where they're trying to improve him, and he might improve. Maybe Grandal, because for a while there, Grandal was considered the best framer, right, in baseball there
Mhm.
for a couple years. So maybe
Yep.
they also brought him in to help Henry Davis hone his craft.
Yeah, because the other two catchers on the depth chart right now are Jason DeLay and Ali Sanchez. So you've got a shot, Grandal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
Right?
he's got. I mean, I don't know what he's going to do offensively, and his framing numbers have kind of gone down a little bit. But the spring training that I spent with him, he was so locked in to making his pitchers better. So if you're getting anything, if you're getting nothing from a batting standpoint or a on-field value, this dude wants so badly to help his pitchers out. So that is a really admirable trait for a starting catcher for the Pirates.
And lastly, almost exactly on time here. Let's slap. Good one today. Let's go right to Kratz hats.
And I had it on because we had a regular-sized person who calls himself a giant now. So
You laugh at that joke every time.
I think it's
Sorry.
so funny.
I forgot about it. It was
It's
good.
such a funny
It's
joke.
a dad joke, but if it's Kratz's
Did you say a dad joke or a bad joke?
dad joke.
Oh,
Dad
yeah,
joke.
yeah.
That's a classic dad joke. Why,
mean,
you stone-faced on it?
No, he
'Cause you're
says it every
already-
time, and I just wait for you to laugh. And
He's
then
only
I
said
laugh.
it like 5
Yeah,
times
more than
ever.
that. He said
All
it.
right.
Great.
No more fart
Godfather.
jokes and no more dad jokes.
Got it. Scotty, what
Yeah.
are we going
No,
to
it's
grade
funny
that
'cause
hat?
it's mixed
We got to
color.
grade it.
I want grade the hat and grade the joke, birthday boy.
Listen, I laugh at Kratzy all the time. I mean, I give
Thank
that. I give it an A joke, and I'll give the hat like a B.
A B?
Yeah,
I think it's just okay.
yeah. It's good. It's classic. It's nothing
Classic.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's this? Can we get the one shot
What, of who that is?
of this? No,
Yeah.
look, it's
AJ
me.
catching and
Me wearing Kratz's hat.
AJ's trying to show off his butt.
AJ when he was a giant.
Yeah. But I will say this. Listen, I love the joke because Scott laughs at it every single time, and it makes me laugh because I just think it's funny that he laughs.
Moral of the story, AJ loves when I'm smiling and happy. That's
And
wonderful.
then the hat is a good hat for a big league team.
Yeah.
It's a good hat. Solid hat. It's Halloween every day if you're a Giants fan.
True.
I mean,
To be. Tuesday's show, Will Leach, Ken Rosenthal, and Kevin from The Office. Let's go. Let's go. I love The Office, so I'm freaking hyped. Todd, Father, happy birthday. Did you have a
happy
good
birthday.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
We got any big plans tonight?
Yeah, where are you going tonight?
got?
Oh man, my wife took me out Saturday night to one of the best restaurants in Jersey, the Butcher's Block. Had a great steak, man. That's
There you
all
go.
I
You
need.
had the weekend. Yeah, the weekend celly and the Super Bowl. So, and this. I mean, what a freaking 24 hours. Appreciate you, brother. We'll see you later this week.
See you later.
All right. See you, everyone. Kevin from The Office. Watch The Office tonight since there's no games yet. And then send us questions.
I love cake. Let's have cake, Todd.
Cake it up. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.